Okay, we're on page 81. We were starting the footnote yesterday. Basically, this footnote is integral because it's going to explain to us everything that's going to happen in the next few pages. Most of this you know because we've said it out, like we've spoken about it orally, but it's good to see it inside. It's good to see the sources. And bichlal, after last night, it's a good thing that we learn from books. You know, it's a good thing to have sources because when someone asks you a question, look, it's here. I didn't make it up. It's right here. And sometimes you say, oh, I heard this rabbi say, I heard. It's better to just get it from the book. You know, if the Rambam said something, so let's see where he says it. Yudchet, 18. You see we're in the bottom left column?
Yeah.
On page 81. Maran Bet Yosef Katav, Rabbi Yosef Kara writes in his Bet Yosef, Shedin zeh, that this halakha hu nafka mina ben ha'tamim is the difference between the earlier reasons which we gave, l'ntilat yadayim shacharit shenizkaru lehen, to the washing of our hands that were mentioned above. Shlefi hatam shel Zohar HaKadosh, because according to the reason of the Zohar, what does the Zohar tell us? I don't remember. When do you wash your hands? When what happens? That's on page 53.
When the dawn breaks?
Right, but not. You're right. I should rephrase the question. That's true. That's when you wash your hands. What would have to happen in order for you to need to wash your hands? Light time, sleeping, touching your body.
30 minutes of sleep.
I mean, sleep. The Zohar says you need to sleep. The nighttime doesn't make you have ruach ra, but rather the sleeping makes you have ruach ra. Okay, so it says here, shehakol, after the parentheses, shehakol, it's not the bracha. Rather, because everything, talui, is dependent b'sheina, on sleeping. And what makes you have ruach ra? Sleep.
And that's either at night or during the day.
Yes, but let's leave it right now for the nighttime. You're right, but let's leave it right now for the nighttime. Kivan shelo yashan.
Sleeping is how many hours we're talking about?
Let's say he slept the whole night. Like Barry said, from what I remember, like 30 minutes, but I want to find the source for that before I tell you to write it down on paper. Shakol talui b'shena, everything is dependent upon sleeping. I mean, that's what makes you have ruach ra. Kivan shelo yashan, and because this guy didn't sleep, remember the case on 81 is of a person who stayed up all night. Very good. Kivan shelo yashan, because he did not sleep, and ruach ra shora al yadav, the ruach ra does not rest on his hands. So according to the Zohar, would he wash his hands?
Screw tight and loose.
Would the Zohar say to wash his hands if he stayed up all night?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. What? No. Why not? Yeah.
That's the most honest answer we got.
No.
No, because
Because we didn't sleep.
the Zohar says what causes ruach ra? Sleeping. So if he stayed up all night,
Oh,
then
Nothing.
you didn't sleep?
he didn't sleep, and does he have to wash his hands in the morning?
No.
No, according to the Zohar.
Period. Even to be able to feel out.
Yeah,
So you can.
because he doesn't have ruach ra, and he didn't do anything
But
else.
that's not the only reason we wash to pray.
That's exactly what he's saying. Remember, what is he saying here? The reason that you hold while you wash your hands will come out to different nafka mina. Remember we discussed this word? Different consequences. If you hold that it's because of sleeping, then you don't have to wash your hands if you didn't sleep. We're separating these reasons. We're not using them together. We're saying if you were just a Zohar person, would you wash your hands in the morning?
No.
No. Very nice.
Even for tefillah.
Right.
So the idea of nitalat yadayim is not a mitzvah from Torah. It's from Kabbalah, right? If it's
From the rabbis, not from Kabbalah. From the rabbis, from Gemara.
the idea of ruach ra and stuff like that. It's,
Mentioned in the Gemara, elaborated on by the Zohar.
But
yeah, so what I mean is, if it comes from Kabbalah, why don't we just listen Kabbalists?
Because it doesn't just come from the Kabbalah. It starts in the Gemara. The Kabbalah adds, more consequence to this idea of ruach ra and how strict it is and severity, but not. They didn't come up with the idea. You're right. There's certain things that are Kabbalistic, so let's just follow them.
the Zohar is not halacha.
It's not halakha.
So you can't. There's no situation where you hold just by the Zohar.
Right.
You wouldn't use the Zohar
as a guidebook to what you should do in terms of halacha, since that is the groundwork of what Jews do.
Exactly. I was speaking about this to the girls in my class, ladies, not girls, the ones like much older than me. The ladies in the class that I was teaching a group of girls. That's what it was. A group of girls in Yerushalayim, seminary girls. And we were trying to discuss a halakha question. I'll give you an example. It's not the question we're talking about, but if you eat pig meat, like a slice of bacon with milk, I don't know if bacon goes in milk. If you do, not so much. Okay.
Bacon,
if you eat,
bacon cheese.
How about you?
Oh, you have a ham and cheese. Very nice. A ham and cheese sandwich. That's
On Yom Kippur without kippah.
Moshe Chaim wants to make sure we're all going to Gehenna for this one. It's like
In a tray for a small.
Sometimes a great joke about that.
Break fast like that.
Moshe Chaim would say, in that case, we better believe in Googling. So over here,
Without a broth.
but still doing the mitzvah. It's the big question: do you wash on a cheeseburger? You know, like it's one of those things. Okay, we should never ask questions. They're like questions for HaShamayim. Now, here's the story. The rabbis asked, so if you eat ham and cheese sandwich, did you violate the prohibition of do not eat meat and milk together?
Because
Yes.
the meat's not kosher.
Right. So I taught this to a group of girls, and they said, Rabbi, but you can't eat pig. I said, ignore the fact that you can't eat the ham, right?
Yeah.
If you did eat the ham with the cheese, are you violating the prohibition of meat and milk?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're violating. You're violating.
No,
Yeah.
because ham's not considered to be meat by the Torah.
Oh, very nice. Because you can't have pig meat, the only way you would violate the isul, the biblical isul of meat and milk would be if you have kosher meat with kosher milk. But once it's not kosher, so you don't violate the prohibition of meat. What is important? Let's say you're on a bedin, and you have to decide this person, how many prohibitions did he violate?
Well,
Did he just violate eating not kosher meat, or did he also violate eating meat and milk together? The problem is some people, they can never really appreciate the question because they refuse to compartmentalize. They refuse to not connect things. Just put this on the side. Sometimes we'll ask them, can you do X on Shabbat? So what do you mean? You can't do it during the week. So what do you mean can you do it on Shabbat? Forget that. We're asking a question here about Shabbat. Would you be violating Shabbat if you did this on Shabbat? That's one of those questions. So again here, obviously now at the final result, we have a number of reasons for why we wash our hands. But in the case that you were just following the Zohar, the real question we had in the beginning was, why do you need so many reasons for why you wash your hands? The reason why you have so many reasons is because if you just followed one reason, there would be enough times where you wouldn't need to wash your hands. And therefore, the nafka mina, that word, that difference, the consequence, the result of having different opinions results in the end that you have a few different times where you do or don't wash, depending on which opinion you're following.
Right.
So let's see, according to the Zohar, in this case where you stay up all night, you would not wash your hands.
It's kind of like getting several tickets for similar offenses. Well, you were speeding, therefore you also ran a red light, and then because you ran the red light, you hit the. You know what I mean? It's like
with a burnt out brake light,
right.
Something like that. They'll add it up.
Right.
That's a good example. V'gam lefi ta'amo shel Rashba, and also according to the reason of the Rashba, Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderet, remember the Rashba we had in the beginning. Why did he say you have to wash your hands? Page 53. Does anyone remember? It's okay, you can look. I left.
Case got it last night. Because
The one who said it was to praise Hashem.
Oh, because you're a new creation in the morning when you wake up, and therefore you praise Hashem. According to him, if you stayed up all night, did you become a new creation?
No.
יש לי עוד ספרים במדף פה. Do you know the extra halakha berets over there? Can you show my dad them? They're on the shelf that you're looking at.
Five reasons.
What? There's 5 reasons, right? So according to the Rashba, that you become a new creation in the morning, says Shebaboker nasa kebriya chadasha. In the morning you become a new creation, and tzarich et olidav. You don't have to because you didn't become a new creation. You were awake since the last time you became a creation.
Because the soul didn't leave the body.
But there's an interesting thing. Ella, rather on page 81. Ella shesiem, he finished over there. The Rashba finished off his letter saying the following: De'efshar de lo plu. It could be that it's lo plug. I'll explain in a moment what lo plug means. Therefore have to wash your hands. Lo plug means a rabbi say we don't differentiate between these cases. I'll give you a great example. One of the reasons why you can't eat food cooked by a non-Jew is because maybe you'll become so close to them that you'll marry them, or you'll marry their daughter, or something like that. What if you go to a priest's house? He doesn't have a daughter, he doesn't have a wife. He makes dinner for you. Are you allowed to eat his food? There's no chance that you're going to come marry his daughter. It says over there, I don't remember if it's the Shaar or the Taz, Siman Kuf Yud Bet in Yonatan. There he says, Lo Plu. We don't make a difference. We don't eat my non-Jews because of this reason, regardless of what the status is, if they have children, they don't have children, so on and so forth. That's what you call Lo Plu. Meaning there's a reason, but at the end of the day, the reason is not so relevant because you would still wash your hands. That's what the Rishbah is saying. It could be that you wash your hands because you become a new creation, but that in itself is a reason that at the end you would still wash your hands even if you didn't become a new creation. So it could be what Rav David Yosef is saying is that even according to the Rishbah, you would wash your hands in the morning even though his reason doesn't apply. Fair? Okay, let's keep reading. These are good rules, like underline these things. The word nafkamina, write it down, give a definition and an example. The word lo plug, underline it, write it down, translate it, give an example. These are good terms. You'll have like if you write it, let's say in the back of your book or somewhere, a piece of paper in a journal, then you'll have like a list of terms that will always come up in different places where you learn Torah, and you'll be doing a smart thing for yourself. Ulefi tamo shel harosh, according to the reason of the Rosh, Rabbeinu Asher, what does he say? Why do you wash your hands? Page 53. Why do you wash your hands in the morning?
You touch your body.
Because you touched places in your body that are normally covered. Shiadayim askaniotim, because your hands are busy. Would you wash your hands in the morning according to the Rosh? In this case, where you stay up all night?
More so.
Why?
Because when you're awake, you're touching more places.
But the places that you're touching,
Thinking about it.
you're probably dressed when you're staying up at night. Probably. That's an assumption. Somebody says you're doing like a Shavuot thing. You're not, in your pajamas. Rather, normally at nighttime you touch places in your body that are covered because generally you're not so covered then at night. So it seems that according to the Rosh, in a situation, not like my father's situation, but in a situation where you're careful not to touch, you're careful. It could be that at night people do things, but you're careful. And tzarich told you would not have to wash your hands. This is all a quote from who? This whole discussion?
Rabbi Yosef.
Karo, very nice. The Beit Yosef. The Beit Yosef is saying, you asked in the beginning why we have 5 reasons to wash your hands. This is the classic case where you have different reasons, and depending on the reason you follow, you'll find that now, according to all these rabbis, you don't wash your hands. With the exception of the Rashba who said that you still might have to wash your hands because lo plug, we don't make a difference. Uvesov dvarav, at the end of his words, Hevia Beit Yosef, the Beit Yosef brings down Shemidivrei ha'orchot chaim, from the writings of a rabbi called the Orchot Chaim. Nira, it appears shetzarich litol yadav, you must wash your hands. Gam ken, also afidu hayaer kol halayla, even if you were up the whole night. The Orchot Chaim says you still have to wash your hands in the morning. And so that's what the Maran writes. And now what does he write here in Shulchan Aruch? Does it say you wash or don't wash? In the Shulchan Aruch here, on top of 81, it says to wash or not to wash?
Wash.
If you don't sleep at night.
If you stay the whole night.
Don't wash.
Do you wash or don't you wash?
You don't.
Don't wash.
Without bracha, you wash.
That's the Ramah.
Oh,
Two opinions.
Two opinions.
Well, you wash or you don't say bracha?
Let's look again. He says if you're awake the whole night, yesh lihistapek. We're not sure whether or not you wash your hands or not.
Oh.
So Maran's not sure. Why is he not sure?
That was a
Because
famous
he-
example.
Because he doesn't know whether we do it for Ruach Ra or because it's night.
Okay, right, because one of these reasons may apply, the other ones may not apply. He says, listen, I don't know, do we follow the Orchot Chaim? Do we follow that Rashba that says that anyways, lo plug? I don't know, says the Maran. Maybe yes, maybe no.
So we cannot follow Maran. We have to choose one of those 5 and follow.
Unless you can find a way to prove that Maran was leaning in one direction. This would be a classic case of interpretation, in which you would then have, let's say, two Sephardic, not in this case, but you have two Sephardic rabbis say, we follow Maran. One says Maran says make a blessing. One says, no, Maran says don't make a blessing. One says Maran says to wash. One says Maran says not to wash. That would be a classic case where you could say, I'm following Maran, but you're doing two different things. Because Maran is leaving room here. Which direction are you going with this? With the Shulchan Aruch over here, Katav, he writes, Sheyesh Listapek, we're in doubt in Tzarich Yitor Yadav Shacharit, if you have to wash your hands in the morning, Lihitparel, for prayer, U'la'avir Ruach Ra Miyadav, or to get rid of the Ruach Ra in his hands. V'nirah midvarav, and it seems from his words, B'Shulchan Aruch, and the Shulchan Aruch above, D'lefi Tamosh LaRosh, that according to the Rosh, remember the Rosh says you have to wash your hands in the morning because, I know it's a lot of opinions, the Rosh says, because the hands are busy, they might touch somewhere. Shehu mishum liyadayim askanioten, because the hands are busy hands on the top right column. Af l'tfilah, even for tfilah, ain't tzarich l'nedav. You don't have to wash your hands to prepare yourself for tfilah. That's what you asked. Remember, you were asking like even for tfilah, not to, yeah. According to the Rosh, you don't have to wash. Kol shelo naga b'mkomat hamchusim, so long.
That's from the top. Oh yeah.
So long as
82.
You didn't touch anywhere that was normally covered. Look in the parentheses. V'chen katav behedya b'shut harosh. The Rosh himself writes this straight out, that if you, in a case where you stayed up all night and you didn't touch anything, you don't have to wash your hands even for tefillah. Because the Rosh's opinion is, the lo tiknu netilat yadayim l'tefillah. They did not institute the washing of your hands to prepare you for tefillah. Rather, they instituted it for the Ruach Ra, which his interpretation is for cleaning your hands. But if your hands are clean, so why would you do it again, even before tefillah? I mean, there was room to say that, okay, maybe for the Ruach Ra part you won't wash, but what about the preparation for tefillah you would wash? The Rosh says even then you don't wash, because it's not the reason why we instituted.
Isn't there something about...
Their hands stay awake long.
Sometimes we do things in Judaism because it's the repetition of doing something, not to break that, because it becomes confusion. Yeah.
Right, the problem is, sometimes you'll see halachot, in order not to confuse people, we'll do some... That's a dangerous halakha. Because what's saying is you're going on the assumption that people don't know. People who know won't get confused. For example, in my kitchen, my wife says, when you raise kids, they're going to have to know what's meat, what's milk, what's parvet. They're going to get confused. She's probably right when they're kids. Some people say, oh, Rabbi, how come you don't get confused? The reason I don't get confused is I'm not the cleaning lady. I know the laws of kashrut. She doesn't. That's why she gets confused. I don't have a hard time in the kitchen. I know this can be used for mighty milk, this can be used for everything, this can only be used for meat, this can only be used for milk, so on and so forth. The same thing when we say that you do something so people don't get confused, or so you won't forget, or just in case X, Y, and Z, then you're right, there could be a problem, but that would apply to people who don't know.
But that's if, let's say, because the nature of human beings, let's say you stay up Shavuot and you didn't touch yourself, you didn't wash before tefillah. The next morning, you don't wash before tefillah because you lose your... Because some of what we do, unfortunately, is sometimes habitual or unconscious. And then you can make a mistake.
You ever walked into the bathroom and turn on the lights?
Yeah.
Happens for Shabbat?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you always walk in the bathroom and turn on the lights. Right. But we wouldn't say that because of that the whole week you can't turn on the lights.
Right.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to share. Is that it could be a person knows that if that's the only way he's going to stop, so then he might not. There's a rabbi in Israel, Rabbi Steinman, Rabbi Aaron Leib Steinman, a big tzaddik, a Lithuanian Ashkenazi rabbi. He came to Baltimore once, and I met him. I got a bracha from him. And he has a beard that's like split into two. It looks like he's never once in his life shaped it, combed it, trimmed it. It's like one thing here and one thing over there, and they never met each other in the middle.
Dreadlocks.
And it does. It looks a little bit like dreadlocks. And now that he's older, so I think a lot of that beard is missing. But then. And the reason behind that is he was once giving a class on Shabbat and he was stroking his beard and he pulled out a hair. I mean, many rabbis, they stroke the beard. Pull out a hair. Pulling out a hair is a prohibition on Shabbat. He did it by accident. It's an accident. So he said, okay, on Shabbat I'm not going to stroke my beard. But because during the week he was so used to stroking his beard that he did it again the next Shabbat. He says, yes, I'm not touching my beard the whole week. And that's his story. He doesn't touch his beard. Because he doesn't want it on Shabbat. But again, that's Rav Aaron Leib Steinman, not us. We can't live our whole life like that. There are certain people that can do things. They reach a certain level of tzedkut. The Katav HaRama B'Haga, the Rama writes in his note, Shitol Yadav B'li Bracha, you should wash your hands without a blessing. That's what the Rama says, right? V'yesh Maraboteinu HaMukubalim, and some of our rabbis, the Kabbalists, Shekatvu, they wrote, the B'chai Gavna. The B'chai HaGavna means in this case, in Aramaic, in this case. Ein tzarich litol yadav shalosh pamim, you don't have to wash your hands 3 times, l'sirugin, alternatingly. K'mo b'chol yom. Like you do every day. Meaning, even if you follow the Rama, who says that you would wash, would you do 3 times alternatingly? Some of the Mekubalim say you wouldn't. You wouldn't. But this is quoted, if you look at the source here is the Rashi Peitet, it's on the left hand side. The Chida writes this in the name of the Arizal and the Rav Chaim Vital.
So writes Ramara.
And many of the Sephardic Mekubalim, the Kavachayim, many of them, the Siddur Bet Oved, the Siddur that all the Sephardim used to pray from once upon a time, all of them write you would only wash once, not 3 times. This would have a practical ramification on Shavuot morning. When you finish, do you have to wash 3 times or just once? It seems like these Mekubalim would say just once, not 3 times. V'yesh omrim, and some say shal kol panim, that at least tzarich netilah shalosh pamim mesirugin. At least you have to wash 3 times alternatingly. The exact opposite of the opinion we just had. Exact opposite. Who is this opinion? There's a Bet Aharon in the name of the Arizal, meaning the Chidah says in the name of the Arizal that you have to wash once, and the Bet Aharon says in the name of the Arizal that you have to wash 3 times. Got it? And the Chidah himself seems to be of this opinion, even though above he said you only have to wash once. That wasn't his opinion, he was just quoting someone else's opinion. And some of the later Ashkenazi authorities agree with this opinion, to wash 3 times. V'chein nachon lachmir, says Rabbi David Yosef, it's better to be strict. If you're anyways washing your hands with bracha, so wash them 3 times, not just once. V'dat habach. But why does he say v'chein nachon lachmir, that it's good to be strict? What is this term? It's good to be strict.
To cover all bases.
Right, then that's why he's telling you to be strict. But why does he have to say it? Why wouldn't he just expect you to know? Why don't we cover all bases and wash 3 times?
Because he's embarrassed.
So this is a machloket, basic machloket between us, let's say the students of Rav Peretz, those who follow a certain line of thinking in the halachic community, and other rabbis. Both are valid, just different. Should you always try to satisfy all opinions and be strict, or should you not? We say you shouldn't. We say that even if you could, you shouldn't, because you haven't yet kept all the other mitzvot properly. That's like the Rav Avraham ben Rambam writes that. The Chidah writes that. I surprisingly saw today that the student of Rabbi Uziel, Rabbi Chaim David Halevy, disagrees with that. He says, so when are you ever going to be strict? If you're never going to keep the whole Torah, so when are you going to be strict? I didn't find his logic to be so strong. But that was his feeling, his personal feeling. And so we would say that the only time you can be strict is when the poskim tell you in this situation you're allowed to be strict. I mean, there are warranted situations of being strict because the poskim give you the permission to be strict. But stam, just on your own, to say, oh, well, I'll stay with the stringent opinion of 3 times, according to us, you wouldn't be allowed to do it. That's why it's also Chacham Ovadiah's school of thought, most of the time. And that's why Chacham Ovadiah's son is telling you, if you want, here you can be strict. Don't worry about doing something that's too strict. According to those who are always strict, these words are superfluous. You wouldn't have to say them. Vedat Habach, the opinion of the Bach, the Beit Chadash. It's an Ashkenazi rabbi who wrote a commentary on the Tur Shulchan Aruch. Not the Shulchan Aruch, but the Tur before him. He was the great-great-grandfather of Rabbi Shlomo Krabach. Shetzarich litol yadav v'bracha, that you must wash your hands with the blessing. Does he agree with the Rama? No. This is a classic case where the Sfaradim are following the Rama and the Ashkenazim are not. The Bach is saying, no, you should still make it with the blessing. And it's not just the Bach, it's not one opinion. V'ochiach ken m'tshuvat harosh, he proves himself from the tshuva of the Rosh, the letter of the Rosh. V'chen dat hagra. Who's the gra? The Vilna Gaon, right? Hagaon Rabbi Eliyahu, the Vilna Gaon, the Maaser Rav, in his book Maaser Rav. I hope to one day have this book. I used to learn my friends. He had it in Yerushalayim. There's a nice version of it. It's all these halachot that came from the Vilna Gaon. V'haruch HaShulchan, and remember that Rabbi Epstein, Rabbi Chil Michael Epstein, the Sephardic Ashkenazi one. So he also says you should make a blessing. Umikol makom dat rov raboteinu mekubalim v'aposkim. The opinion of most of the Mekubalim, the Kabbalists and the Poskim, Shelo yivarech hadira. You could wash, but not to make a blessing. V'safek brachot la'akel. When you're in doubt as to whether to make a blessing, don't make the blessing. V'chein nahagu b'chag HaShavuot, and that's the custom on Chag HaShavuot, u'v'Hoshana Rabbah, and on Hoshana Rabbah. V'ayin lahalan m'samuch, and then you could see later on what I'm going to say. He says,
Don't keep us in suspense.
So what do you do?
So you certainly cannot cover all bases.
Oh, very. In this case, you cannot cover all the bases.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be upsetting somebody.
And you cannot follow Maran also.
Because we don't know
Because
what Maran is telling us to
give
do.
you
Very good.
So you have to choose from these 5.
What your local community does. Or your local Rav.
Oh, the local Rav is better than local community. Yeah. I'll tell you, it seems to be the minhag on the street, meaning that most Jews, not the street, most Jews wash 3 times in such a situation, alternatingly, without a bracha. Both Ashkenazim and Sfaradim, I said do that. If an Ashkenazi would want to make a bracha here, he would be going against the Ramah, but he'd be following some pretty big guns in the Ashkenazi community, the Vilna Gaon, the Bach, the Aruch HaShulchan. But for a person to push himself into a scenario where he's making a bracha when other rabbis say not to, it's a tricky situation. There's a classic case of when in doubt, don't make a bracha. Safek brachot la'akel. Additionally, give me another reason why you wouldn't make a bracha here. A logical reason. In level of priorities. What kind of mitzvah is this mitzvah? Rabbinic mitzvah. What kind of prohibition is it saying Hashem's name in vain? Biblical. So why would you stick your head in maybe violating a biblical mitzvah to fulfill a rabbinic mitzvah? That's the reason nobody wrote here, because it should be obvious. But unfortunately, in the world we live in today, it's not obvious. There are some things we do that a wife has minhag. Yeah? Maybe some of your wives have it too. They don't leave an onion overnight that they cut already in half.
Oh yeah, I got someone.
Have you heard of this?
Bagged my onion. A house guest,
not
bagged my
supposed to be
onion.
clean, but if you just cut it in half and it covered, it's okay.
Moshe Chaim's right.
But there's a
It
science
seems to be a
behind it, too.
Kabbalistic idea that if you cut an onion, you can't leave it overnight. Because in the morning it has all kinds of ruach ra and things like that. But if it has even one little bit of the peel on it, so it's okay. That's what the Mekubalim seem to say. Which, by the way, would rule out any kind of, like, it's a medical thing. You know, it's not a medical thing because the peel, what difference does it make? It's a Kabbalistic thing. And there are some people with the custom. Fine. But the idea here is that it's not mentioned in the Gemara. It's not codified into law by the Rambam. It's not codified into law by the Shulchan Aruch. It's one of those things that it's like in that off-the-grid area.
But everybody knows.
Today, everybody knows it. How you don't know that all of our grandparents were familiar with this idea? It's not a halakha. Today, you tell someone, "Oh, you left a bag of onions overnight." Oh, how could you do it? I was once on an airplane. I had one of those Jewish airplane meals. It's better to just eat the table in front of you,
Right.
But I had one of those airplane meals, and it has a little note in there that it's kosher. It's an amazing thing what is on this note. In English it says, "Thank you for enjoying our gourmet kosher meal.
Right.
We hope it tasted good for you. Everything is under strict rabbinic supervision. Have a safe flight." Hebrew side doesn't say the same thing. It looks like the same thing. It does say the same thing. It says, "Oh, we appreciate your business. We keep to the highest standards of kashrut according to this rabbi, according to that rabbi, and the bread is not hamotzi, it's mizonot, and and you should remember to wash your hands." And fine.
And there's no cut onion.
Meaning it's different than the English one because it's catering to a different audience. Then the Yiddish one. Now you can say, how do I understand the Yiddish one? First off, Yiddish is not such a hard language to understand. It's overrated. If you know some Hebrew and English and are willing to guess on a few words, you can figure it out. Especially when it's written for the guy who's reading it on the airplane, and especially when the person sits next to you understands Yiddish. So, it says in there, nothing about the good food, nothing about have a good flight, and everything about it's under this rabbi, and the cousin of that rabbi, and the fourth rabbi. And on top of that, the bread is mizonot, not just, it's made with this kind of juice to this percentage. And the eggs were not left over like this, and the onions, they were not cut and stayed over the night. They were fresh onions put into your thing, they were wrapped, They have all kinds of, the dishes are brand new dishes that were not recycled. Because maybe it was used for things that were not kosher before in its previous reincarnation, right? Yeah, and like all these things. I'm not exaggerating. It depends which kashrut gives that thing. And I read about it. I said, that is what's crazy about the Jewish people. And some people say, "Wow, look at the details." People love this. Fine. My wife says, "Look at the good of the people of Jerusalem. I see the good. They love Hashem a lot. They also like to be OCD a lot." And the thing is. I don't mean to mock those. It's a real problem that people have. The problem is that we let people have it when they don't need to have it, because we let them go crazy when it comes to halachot. Why is it that today we have things that people wouldn't eat? The Shulchan Aruch would eat it. The Rambam would eat it. Moshe Rabbeinu probably would eat it. The rabbis in the Gemara would eat it. The Mekubalim, I don't know, the Mekubalim wouldn't eat it. And even if they wouldn't eat it, what does it have to do with you? Are you a Mekuba? It's those things that I'm not telling you can't. If you have a custom, so go. I'm not belittling it. It has a source. But so far that you would take away something that's kosher because the onions are... Here it's not a kosher thing anymore. This is a Kabbalah thing. Someone recently told me there's a kashrut in Israel. Not somebody. I don't listen to people, from the streets. A rabbi told me. He spoke to me that he does kashrut for a certain rabbi in Bnei Brak. And this rabbi washes everyone's hands, even the non-Jews, 3 times before they can touch the food. But we learned in the halakha that that's not a halakha. But for him, it's a great way. You can get a lot more customers that way. You say, our food is so kosher that even the Arabs who work in the factory wash their hands in the Netilat Yadayim in the morning. I don't know if they make a bracha or not. I'm not sure. I don't know how far he goes.
Give them a kosher breed first before they work there.
But it's like certain things you wonder, okay, I guess that's how Judaism works. I'll give you an example where this is used for the bad, like a sad story. I once, in 12th grade, I was taken by Rabbi Tenler. They chose a few of us to go be mashgichim in New York, in a matzah factory. You have to understand the absurdity of this. There's a matzah factory called the Pupat Salem Matzah Factory. Pupat Salem is a certain chassidut. They're not really chassidim, they're like German chassidim. They're called Oberlander chassidim. So the chassidim say they're not chassidim. They say the chassidim are not chassidim. In any case, they make some really good matzot. I used to bring back these matzot every year to San Diego. I'm not exaggerating to you, the matzot are maybe thin like paper. It's like they're not burnt, they have no... It's a good... If you have to eat shmur matzah, it's a good way to go. They cost a lot of money per pound, but that's how it works. The people in Baltimore wanted these matzot, but they don't want it to be under the supervision of the Hasidic rabbi. They want it to be under the supervision of this rabbi in Baltimore. So this rabbi in Baltimore sends Rabbi Tenler with a few of the guys. Once a year they do a run. And that run he takes back with him to Baltimore, and they sell that to the people who want to eat those matzot. And it's Pupat Salem matzah, but under your rabbi's supervision. When I told this to my wife, she didn't think it was crazy. She said, by them, every community has their own matzah, they don't eat the other ones. Wonderful. You think at Pesach there's nothing you can eat? You can't even eat the shmura matzah anymore. So, I was in the factory over there, and it's incredible what goes on there. But Rabbi Tenler told us the following on the way up to New York, and then when we got to the factory, he showed it us. So it used to be who worked in the matzah factories? Widows, orphans, people that didn't have money. Many new immigrants, a lot of Russians that came over would come work in the factories. What? Russian ladies, right? Like the Russian ladies were baking the matzot. Why? They didn't have a panasah. You know how many months they bake matzah for? It's almost a 10-month job.
Wow.
Chabad starts baking matzah. I heard Chabad bakes matzah the day after Pesach.
Really?
Because they give out so much matzah around the world that if they didn't start then, they would never have enough matzot. I believe it. Because these guys, it's not a Chabad factory, they're opening already in the summertime to bake matzot for Pesach.
I believe it.
That's how fresh your matzot are.
All kinds of very stale stuff.
So there you have it. We were in the factory, and so he said, "Don't worry, there are going to be no ladies in the factory."
Problems with Yonatan.
So actually, all matzah in this country under good supervision is yashan. Believe it or not, it's the one thing I can eat everywhere I go. If you want to have me over for dinner and you made some, bread, just give me matzah, please.
Matzah bread.
Unless you keep yashan, in which case I'll eat anything you have in your house. But Baruch Hashem, it's one of those things. Wherever you go, you have matzah. It's good to go. It's an interesting question. If things only become yashan the second day of Pesach. So what if you have matzah? It's only chadash matzah, not yashan matzah, and it's the first night of Pesach. What do you do? It's a good question. Regarding the matzah factory, Rabbi tells us there's no more ladies working in the matzah factory. Someone decided you can no longer hire people in the factory who don't keep Shabbat and kosher. Oh, so they fired all these ladies who were not keeping kosher, and they hired new ladies that were widows who were kept kosher and Shabbat and these things. Fine. Maybe they were rest. I'm not saying anything about the rest of them. They fired the first group of people. And then what happened? All the other matzah factories, they also fired. This Pupatelim weren't the ones who started. He's telling me the history of Shmura Matzah. Whoever the first one was to come up with it. They said, we want to be kosher like them. We're going to fire all the non-religious people also. Okay. Then they said, now we no longer have ladies who make matzah. Only men make matzah. So they fired all the ladies. Now all these widows and they don't have a job. In the name of something that's not even, there's no such thing as a man's matzah being better. It's a craziness. Then they made a rule.
Gotta have smicha.
We can't have people baking matzah who don't have beards. Very good. So they fired all the men who don't have beards and brought guys. Now listen to the kilkul. I came there. All of the people, these are like 3 generations of people, they're all fired. I don't know how they got jobs. And then you see a 4th group of people, and it was amazing. You know who works in these factories? All the dropouts from yeshiva. Because they have beards, but they don't want to be learning. So they get full-time jobs. And all they need to do is keep Shabbat, be a man, and have a beard. Wonderful.
So the non-learners.
The guys who are the bums of society, they took away the jobs. They don't need money. They're in, high school, 18, 19. They took all the jobs from the people who need the jobs, all in the name of something that's not even really a halakha.
Now they got money for iTunes.
It's an incredible thing. I'm sure there are people who bake matzot who are good people. I'm not generalizing. But what he said was, Rabbi Tana told me that once one factory did it, all the other factories had to do it. Because if they wouldn't do it, they would say, your matzah isn't kosher. That's what happens. That's the way the world works. My father gave a class in Shavuot.
So one of
the reasons why rabbis opposed machine matzah has nothing to do with the kashrut of the matzah. The biggest opposition to machine matzah, do you know what it was? It takes away the jobs of the ladies who are making the matzahs. It's like, what they said, if McDonald's already said that if you raise the minimum wage, they have machines now who are going to do checkout. You can order and check out in a machine. What are they saying? They're saying that we can very quickly get rid of the manpower if it's still $8 an hour. But the moment it gets a certain price, we're just going to hire machines, and then everyone will be out of their jobs. So someone thinks I don't have a position on minimum wage, but someone who wants to increase the minimum wage thinks he's doing good for workers. He might actually be harming workers. He has to figure it out. I don't know how you figure it out, but thank God I'm not the president. Right?
It's not hard.
What?
Get them out of working at McDonald's. It's a good thing.
It's called
there you go.
Demand curve. That's called the demand
there's a term for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, there's a demand curve in Judaism also. So it's fine if you don't want to cut onions and leave them overnight. That's great. But once it becomes a halakha that a factory that does do it, like now it's no longer kosher. Actually, we have so many things we need to figure out first. Like we have so many problems that we did not figure out yet. That come on, let's figure those out first. Then we'll deal with the onions in the refrigerator. What's the whole danger of onions? Tell me. Do you know what it says? Why you can't have onions?
No.
It's changed to the knife or whatever.
It could harm you. It could harm you. Physically, it could harm you.
But are there other vegetables like that? Just onions?
Not that I know of.
Garlic.
No,
So
spices,
what's special about
onions and garlic.
Yeah, spicy.
Oh, there's more?
Garlic.
I thought it was just onions.
No.
There's a cheese.
It's known if you leave an onion in the refrigerator cut, it absorbs all the bad bacteria.
Right, but here we're not talking about
I understand
this situation. Let me share with you this then. I didn't know that. You just...
Garlic too?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah,
Scallions? Scallions too? Shallots?
I'm not going to hang garlic around my neck anymore. When
Like the kidneyot increase over time, the number of items and the
So no. Now I'm just.
That was what my wife's grandmother taught her. And when, after we became observant and she listened it from some rabbis, she said, "Oh, see, I told you."
But that's
my
beautiful, by the
grandmother
way.
told me.
I'm not against it, because if you'd go and tell her, now she feels she's stopping to do something for her grandmother. Let her do the onions. What I'm trying to share is something that will make some of you proud. With parents, when you tell us halakha, so there's some other things, if you're afraid of, danger, some things just throw out of your refrigerator that are not onions. I agree. There are some things that we eat, and that we consume, and that we drink, or that we eat, or we put in our food, probably shouldn't be eating. And that's more dangerous, not just to the Kabbalists, but to everybody, than the onion that wasn't peeled. And so I'm all for being careful about the dangers in onions. But then we should also be aware, speaking to myself also, I'm not telling you, we should also be aware about the dangers of other foods.
Like schmaltz.
They sell that at Ralph's. They have a container of chicken fat. Okay, good to know. In any case, the Shaar is...
Just a second. What about water? Covering water at night?
we had to talk about that.
From same category?
There are two reasons given. One is given about snakes.
Right.
Snakes and things like that. Who's coming in?
Who's running away?
Oh, Baruch haba.
Come on, I'll tell him.
Okay,
thanks a lot.
And have a good night. There, because maybe snakes and stuff put their venom inside of the water. Didn't we talk about this once?
You and I talked about it.
We did mention it, right?
Yeah.
And was it today where there are no snakes among us? That's not a problem. Could be the Kabbalists have something about it, but again, that would fall to the... Yeah, look with your eyes. The idea is that they were worried.
No, it was at night.
Right, if you would leave it...
Look on your eyes. You just have to take it and drink it in the dark.
Well, in the morning it would still not be allowed to be drunk. The idea was that if you leave something overnight, snakes come out, scorpions come out, and they put their poison, their venom into things. And so we're afraid you can't see the venom inside of a drink. And therefore, today though, don't tell me. When's the last time you had a snake in your house? It doesn't really happen. And therefore the poskim would say, if you live in a place where there are no snakes, so you don't have to... I think Maran said this, we learned it inside. Somewhere here.
I understand it from practical point of view. Some insect can fall inside at night, and it's dark, you cannot see it, you're just taking and drinking and...
Okay, so, fine, I'll give it to you. What about in the morning, when there's light again?
In the morning it's fine, you don't have to...
But that's not what the source says. The source says once it goes overnight, you can't drink it anymore. Now there could be Kabbalah behind it, but again, that would fall into the category of things of Kabbalah that you have to decide whether or not we do them.
How many years are Kabbalists are involved in the Jewish history? 400.
According to the Kabbalists, there are whole existence.
Our sources.
Actively, our sources, about 500 to 600 years.
Okay, so I understand there were Kabbalists before, but they were not publishing book or so or anything else.
Yes, right. Right. I mean, you find sometimes in the early Rishonim they'll mention the Zohar says or this says, but it's very rare and not so much halachically. Today, Kabbalah has been mainstreamed into practice, and that's good and bad. You know things you didn't know, but also you don't have to always worry unless you're a Kabbalist. Okay, let's make everyone happy. Mekubalim, the poskim, let's just follow this halakha. Well, in this case, we can't make anyone happy, like you said, but it seems like the answer would be we'd wash our hands in the morning 3 times, alternatingly. What we learned here in this bottom footnote, this is pretty much going to be the same conversation for all the next cases, where you have one reason applies, one reason doesn't apply. That's why Maran says, I can't tell you what to do. That's why the Ramah says, wash without a blessing. The answer would be the same for almost all of these cases, just different details. Everyone should have a beautiful night, gentlemen.